Mr. Bisson, you know the rules, 10 minutes. I'll throw the fingers up when we're into two, and you let me know when you'd like to start, sir.
Thank you. Start now. Thank you very much for accepting this delegation. As you know, this delegation was actually these recommendations came from a delegation I made to committee, and it was accepted to be proposed here this evening. I'm not going to go through the full presentation I did. Obviously, it was recorded. I assume that you've had a chance to look at it. And given the agenda item, I don't think I've ever seen hundreds of pages of agenda. So, I was just talking to the CAO. I want to just begin by thanking both the CAO and the town clerk and the staff for the work that they do. Pulling together 700 pages of an agenda, and that's just the agenda, is very impressive. And having had my challenges with another level of municipal government, I can honestly say that I appreciate the effectiveness, the collaboration, and the work that this level of government does on behalf of the residents of Cobourg. And I sincerely mean that, because when things don't work at municipalities, you feel it as a resident more so than any other level of government. So effectiveness and efficiency is exceptionally important. If you want to bring up, Brent, just the motions or for 14.4, I'm just going to go over them really quickly. For those of you who know, I've been proposing a plan to get Cobourg through the next phase of the encampment, which is the sale of Brookside. Since the presentation I did at the committee, I've reached out to various stakeholders in our community. There is a deep-seated desire to be able to address not only the encampment, but I think we can leverage that by engaging the community and different organizations that haven't been involved. We have a lot of firepower between nonprofit organizations, Christian-based organizations, business, and that sort of thing. And I think that with the right approach, going back to Minister Piccini's comments, I think a public-private partnership at this point in time would make sense. And I think that it's time, and I think there's a willingness out there for the public to be able to engage with the government as well as business entities to be able to solve some of these issues. Having said that, these are more preventative measures that we need to take, or I believe we need to take as a community, to be able to prepare for the eventual. According again to Mr. Piccini, it would seem that November 13th is a date that we need to remember out of that presentation. So that's literally 2 months before something gives on that. Having said that, point one, enact the tenants and encampment bylaw. One of the reasons that I propose that is because looking at a situation where an individual decides that they're going to house multiple residents at the encampment because they have a willingness to help, whether it's through compassionate means or anything like that, we've got to make sure that we're preventing another encampment from forming. I've made a commitment to myself to not ever have another encampment like we have. Tomorrow is the year since that encampment was supposed to be evicted. It's a year later and it's still there. I've spoken with business owners. I've spoken with individuals. I've spoken with seniors. I've spoken with downtown businesses. We've had a significant impact. I've got business owners that I'm talking to that don't want to be here. My own partner, I just partnered up with somebody, didn't move to Cobourg because of the reputation that we have due to this encampment. There are serious fallout implications of all this. We can never go back to where it was before. And I really encourage you to take a look at whatever bylaw mechanisms that you have to be able to prevent another scenario from occurring like this. Repeal automatic authority, that was explained. There's no ability there, so you can take that off the agenda. The review of the ECE bylaw, as you know, Waterloo case was a situation in which not enough beds or the right amount of beds were required. And because we've got this transition, the whole goal here would be when the overlap occurs between 310 Division and 10 Chapel, you now have the ability to be able to house a lot of people. And that's where the ECE bylaw needs to take place, because that transfer, that license has to be transferred. Is the bylaw capable of making sure that we have enough beds so that we don't have a situation where there's an overflow? My understanding, and unfortunately Transition House never wanted to confirm where they're at or any information that I asked them in regards to this delegation, was that Transition House is quite full. And if transition house is full, that means that 310 is going to be close to being full as well. The county is not in a position to give us any data as to how many people are there, how many people are need support, how many people are not intending to go. We've got a real blind spot here, and we need to have the capacity not to get caught in another jurisdictional situation. In regards to Mom Stops the Harm, Breakpoint Communities will be speaking to that. And the only reason why I want that resolution repealed is because on Mom Stops the Harm website, our town is one of 40-something that agreed to that resolution. Anybody who sees that the town of Cobourg is in support of some of the issues or some of the items that Mom Stops the Harm support, it's guilt by association. I don't think the town of Cobourg or the most residents would agree to safe supply. I don't think so. And that's one of the things that you're now associated with because of that resolution. They have Cobourg as a website of being a supporter of Mom Stops the Harm, and I don't think that should be the case. The other item that I really think has value is the ability to be able to have a registry of community organizations and advocates that are in our community. Just looking at the number of delegations and entities that require municipal support for a variety of different reasons, there's a lot of different organizations and individuals coming to you. I think that it would be good to be able to have a registry of who these organizations are and what they represent, just to know from a public perspective and make it public that we know what the background is and there's not an agenda or an item that goes counter to our community. Now, the next 2 points, and actually the next 3, are something. We've been at this for over a year, and I know why it happened. And one of the things that I want to mention is this. I live in the Chipping Park area. I was not aware of Battelle until you had that meeting at the Salvation Army. And I haven't let it go since. I spent countless hours of watching video and reading documentations and figuring out what's going on. And it's because of this council, not all of the others before you, that dealt with a situation that had existed for more than a decade. The progress that this council has made on the issues of crime and drugs and all of the other things that were plaguing our community has been it's been tremendous. My community changed overnight when that place closed. The amount of people that were going through my neighborhood that didn't belong there was incredible. And I encourage you all, even though it's been difficult, to continue the work that you've started. And when I see our mayor, like the last time he was at county, when he's pleading our other level of municipal government to listen to what we are saying, and they turned a blind ear and throw him under the bus is appalling. Now, I'm back at county next week, and I'm going to respond to their houselessness and encampment report, which was a joke. As far as I'm concerned, I support this council. I support our mayor, who's a representative at county, and we've got to make sure that they get the message that Cobourg is not going to play games with those people anymore on this issue. I am calling for this council to be bold and to send a message to them once and for all that the residents of Cobourg will not deal with that kind of a situation where we don't have any say on who's elected there and have to bear the full consequences of their actions. Having said that, I've just got my minute warning here, and I thank you all for taking the time and the energy and the conviction of standing up for the residents of Cobourg.
Thank you very much, Mr. Beeson, for the presentation. You still have 30 seconds left, but noted and appreciated. Thank you, sir. At this time, I just want to allow council to ask any questions before we move forward. I have some comments regarding the points brought up. If I can get that back on the screen, please. But I wanted to offer the chance to council to speak to Mr. Bison before I speak to him. Seeing none, I'm happy to go forward if I get that up. Mr. Bison, I just want to talk. I love the idea that we're going to put together a report back regarding that, but we'll talk about that as a council. Just a couple of very quick questions regarding some of the things. Are you aware that at present we do actually have a zero encampment bylaw within the town of Cobourg?
Great. Now, the only issue I have with that bylaw from what I've read is that if an individual has individuals that are encamped on their property, the town offers the service of dealing with them at the discretion of the owner. However, there's nothing in there that says that if the owner says, no, I want to keep them here, what is that? What does that mean? And again, because there's been a breach of trust at the county level, particularly, I want to make sure we're bulletproof. There's a lot of loopholes in all of this stuff, and all I'm asking is for the town to be able to use its resources to ensure that we're not going to get caught in a loophole.
Noted.
And
Thank you very much, Mr. Bryce. I do appreciate that. And I think that a good report back to the community regarding all these issues would be good. So is there anyone who'd like to move the motion forward? So, Mr. President, I'm going to just move forward with this. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for the
absolutely.
words of confidence. I appreciate the work you've been doing.
Okay,
Are
we're
these
good.
questions that we want to talk or moving motions? Thank you very